What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be responding to some of your guys' college football hot takes. I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while, but we are still a small channel trying to grow, and before I couldn't get enough hot takes from my subscribers, but I tried again, and I did get a decent amount of hot takes this time, so we're going to be responding to some of them today. And to the people who left these comments, I just want to say real quick that I really enjoy the support you guys have left on this channel. And to all the new viewers, if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel because we upload daily college football content. So definitely consider subscribing to the channel. But also don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. But without further ado, let's get into some of your guys' interesting hot takes. Here's the first comment I'm going to be reacting to, and this person says Florida State will have a 9-3 season next year. I've mentioned in my past videos that I'm still pretty high on this Florida State team. I know they're losing a bunch of talent, but they also brought in a bunch of talent from recruiting and the transfer portal, and Mike Norvell is a really good head coach. And I still think this team will be one of those top contenders. And with the expansion of the 12-team playoffs, I think they will make the playoffs. And they could still go 9-3 and win the ACC. Their schedule's a little bit tough, and I could realistically see them losing 3 games. They had that game against Notre Dame, but they also play some other decent ACC teams. But I think this Florida State team will probably go 10-2 or 11-1. I don't know about 9-3. They play Notre Dame, but they should be favorites in almost every game. But that game against Notre Dame and Clemson could go either way. But shout out to this next guy. He left a bunch of comments, but he says Deion Sanders will leave Colorado at the end of the year. Shiloh and Shadir are probably leaving after this year, and he really won't have that much to be there for. He won't be done coaching though, as I predict that he will become the new head coach at Florida, the state he was born in, and a team that is very likely to fire Billy Napier. I think it's very likely Deion Sanders isn't staying at Colorado after his boys leave. He has followed them everywhere that they have gone, and Colorado probably isn't the team that he would want to coach for years, and I definitely expect him to leave. But I don't know if he would actually coach at Florida. It would definitely be interesting to see, but the fact that he was born in Florida at least makes it a possibility. But I'm 99% sure Deion will not stay at Colorado for that much longer, and I honestly can't answer what he does next. Maybe he follows his boys to the NFL, or maybe he becomes the new head coach for Florida, but I'm not really sure. This next guy says Kalen DeBoer will fail at Alabama. And this is a tough one, because Alabama could probably win 10 plus games every year. But if they don't have a national championship, everybody could definitely consider that failing. Do I think there's a possibility that Kalen DeBoer and Alabama don't win a national championship within the next 5 years? Absolutely. Do I think there is a possibility they do win a natty within the next 5 years? Definitely. Kalen DeBoer is a winner, and he has proven that he's a winner at every single level. But the standard is set high at Alabama, so if they stop winning national titles, then you could definitely consider that failing. And it's just the cold hard truth, because the standard is set very high for Kalen DeBoer. But I would not be surprised if he got Alabama a couple national championships, because I think he is a very good head coach. But since we are on the topic of talking about Alabama, let's read this next comment. And this guy says, Alabama will still have a 10-win season next year. I say there's absolutely a chance they win 10 games. They play Georgia, but they don't have to play Texas or Ole Miss. But other than Georgia, they play LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, and Oklahoma. I think they could definitely win 2 of those 4 games, but could very well win 3 of them. I see Alabama going 9-3 or 10-2 next year, and still probably making the playoffs. Alabama lost a lot of talent, but they are still Alabama, and they're still very deep on talent, and they have so many guys on that roster who can step up. Alabama will still be good, but the thing I'm unsure about is if they will be good enough to live up to expectations, because like I said, the standard is set very high for Alabama football. But we got another comment from this Notre Dame fan, and this comment is Notre Dame related, but this person says Notre Dame will finish undefeated. The 3 games they'll be most worried about are A&M, USC, and FSU, and FSU is at home, and this is a very different team from last year. Texas A&M is in a rebuilding phase, and they'll have some questions as many of their players will be transferring out. Though that game is on the road, I really think A&M's only advantage is it being at the 12th man. And USC on the road isn't the hardest place to win. Though the Trojans will improve, I just don't see them getting back at Notre Dame from a 28-point loss with Caleb Williams. And Notre Dame has the edge in every aspect, besides being on the road. That was a very long comment, but you made some very good points. Those are going to be 3 tough games. But they also have a road game against Georgia Tech. And they also play Louisville, a team that they struggled with this past season. They should win those games, but they do play a bunch of decent teams, and I honestly do not see them going undefeated and not slipping up in any of those 5 games. Georgia Tech on the road isn't a game you should overlook, but also the road games against USC and Texas A&M should be a bit difficult, and I think Florida State will be their toughest game. I think we see Notre Dame possibly go 10-2 or 11-1. If they want to go undefeated, we are going to need to see that offense be a bit more explosive. But I don't know if they're quite there yet. But this Notre Dame team does have a very underrated head coach. And if they go undefeated, we have to give them all the props in the world. But honestly, I just don't see them going undefeated. Maybe 11-1 though. This next comment is definitely a hot take, and this person says Jaden Ott, the California running back, will make himself known as the undisputable best running back in college football next year. He will win the Walker Award and could even win the Heisman Award. Look, I think Jaden Ott is a very underrated running back, and I think this California team is also very underrated. I have them finishing top 7 in the ACC, believe it or not, and I think they will have a decent season. But I don't think Jaden Ott will come close to the Heisman Trophy. He's not at the same skill level as Ollie Gordon or Amarion Hampton, but he is very good, and he may not be that far behind him if he does have a breakout season. But all the dots would have to connect for him to win the Heisman. California would probably have to win 10 games and make the playoffs and be a top team in the ACC, and I don't think they are quite on that level yet. So no, I don't think Jaden Ott will be the best running back in the country. But I'm glad you mentioned his name because he is very underrated and probably a top 10 or even top 5 running back if he has a really good season. Heisman is setting the bar high. But I like that hot take, and honestly, you never know what will happen in college football. This next person says Texas A&M is a team that I could see that could really shock a lot of people. My main prediction for their upcoming season is that they will either knock off Missouri or Texas on their home turf. And I also think that it is very possible that a fully healthy Connor Wigman can lead a team under Mike Elko, a coach that has found some success with Riley Leonard before injuries, and that Texas A&M could possibly finish the regular season 9-3, and also that Connor Wigman shows he is a top 5 quarterback in college football. And oh boys, this is a hot take, but I like it. I think Texas A&M may be a team that is kind of being forgot about. They've been hyped up so many times and failed over and over again, but I think they're kind of building themselves up in silence, waiting for their time to strike. And everybody talks about what they lost in the portal, but nobody talks about the additions that they've made, and that they were ranked number 1 in the transfer portal just recently. They've been competing with Ole Miss in the transfer portal at the top. But nobody really mentions that they picked up Mike Elko, who was a coach that made Duke somewhat relevant in football. And I think this Texas A&M team could possibly shock some people. Because they weren't necessarily all that bad this past season. They had multiple one-possession games against Alabama, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and they were pretty competitive this season. And I think they could possibly be a 9-3 or 10-2 team next season. Their schedule is somewhat favorable. They play Texas, Notre Dame, Missouri, and LSU. But other than that, their schedule is really easy. Everybody is talking about Ole Miss and Oregon and all these other teams making moves in the transfer portal, but nobody's talking about Texas A&M. So that is interesting, and Texas A&M may be a sleeper team, but let's not overhype them because they do this almost every year. But on the topic of Connor Wigman, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what to expect from this kid, but he was a really good prospect out of high school and was an elite recruit. But injuries have kept him from playing. It will be interesting to see what he can do because I have a lot more to learn about him. I wouldn't necessarily consider this next comment a hot take, but this person says, though Georgia is the best team, at least in my eyes, heading into next year they'll have slim chances of going undefeated as they have to make trips to Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss this year. Teams that are all top 10 in the eyes of most people. Personally, I think Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss are all top 10 caliber teams. You could even say top 8 or top 7. Ole Miss and Texas are going to be very scary, and Alabama is Alabama. But I definitely do not see Georgia going undefeated. And you aren't the only one who thinks that they will be the best team in college football next year, because I actually think they will be the best team as well. And they might just win the national championship, but that's a brutal schedule. I could see them losing to Texas, then playing them in an SEC championship rematch. But I think it's likely they go at least 11-1, which would still be very impressive, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did go 10-2, because Clemson and Tennessee are also sleeper games, but they should definitely win those games. But at Ole Miss, at Texas, and at Alabama will be brutal. And Georgia has struggled to beat Alabama in the past. And Texas and Ole Miss are both going to be very good in my eyes. But if Georgia somehow manages to go undefeated, that would be insane. And that would definitely make a statement. But if anybody could go undefeated with that schedule, then it is definitely Georgia. But here we go again. We got another hot take from this Notre Dame fan. Shout out to you for all the hot takes. But you say Georgia Tech will finish the year ranked and they will be a top team in the ACC. They have shown massive improvement under Brent Key. Haynes King is one of the nation's top quarterbacks. The defense is getting much better. And with all that being said, a majority of their starters will return. And I want to agree with you, but their schedule is pretty tough. They play Notre Dame, Georgia, and Florida State, and play a bunch of tough ACC teams. But if Georgia Tech manages to go 8-4 with that schedule, which is a possibility, then they could be ranked. But I do expect this Georgia Tech team to be solid. They're returning a lot, like you said, and they should have one of the best offenses in the ACC. This Georgia Tech team was already pretty competitive this year, and they had a pretty good finish to the season. But man, that is a brutal schedule, and I see a 7-5 team, but I don't think they will be that far from the top 25 conversation, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did finish ranked, but it's going to be very difficult, and I don't think it will happen. But this team definitely has a lot of room to improve on defense, and they have a good head coach, so we'll see what Georgia Tech can do next season. And that Week 0 game against Florida State in Dublin, Ireland, could possibly show just how good this team is. I'm high on this Georgia Tech team, but I don't think they will finish the season ranked. But let's do one more hot take to wrap up this video. And yes, this is another hot take from this Notre Dame fan. But like I said, I'm a small channel trying to grow, so I didn't get a bunch of hot takes from different people, but I did get enough to post this video. And this Notre Dame fan says, Texas and Oregon will end up winning the SEC in the Big Ten in their first year in those conferences. Funny enough, I actually had them both making their conference championships in my conference predictions, and I had them both finishing not first, but both finishing second and losing the conference championship. So no, right now I don't think they will win their conference, but they will very well both be at the top, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did win the Big Ten or the SEC, depending on which team you're looking at. And both these teams are going to be legitimate 12-team playoff contenders, but also even national title contenders. These are two teams that will have spectacular quarterback play, and possibly the two best offenses in college football. But they both are really coming along on the defensive side as well. But they also both have newer head coaches as well, who have had a lot of success. And there's so much potential for Texas and Oregon. And I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these two teams win a national title very, very soon. I like that hot take, and I really love the recognition these two programs are getting. And it's crazy that we could see a world where Oregon wins the Big Ten and Texas wins the SEC in the same season. Go tell that to a college football fan 5 years ago, and they'd be very confused. That's how much the landscape of college football is changing, and I'm all in for it. And I can't wait to see the new matchups we will have next season. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more videos like this, leave your hot takes down in the comments below, and maybe I'll do these videos more frequently. But also be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel, because we upload daily college football content, and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. But that's going to do it, guys, and peace out.